Yesterday, we were discussing about pod autoscaling. That is horizontal pod autoscaler. How to scale the pods based on the memory and CPU utilization of the pods. As we already discussed yesterday, if we don't have enough resources in the cluster, I mean to say if you don't have enough nodes and enough CPU and memory in that nodes, and pods will not be scheduled. So, in case of managed Kubernetes cluster, we can deploy cluster autoscaler. So when we go for a EKS, I will show you how to do that, how to scale the nodes, if your cluster is running out of resources. How to scale the nodes we will discuss when we go for a EKS. For now, let's continue with the volumes. Kubernetes volumes. So as we already know, right? Kubernetes is a container orchestration platform. It's managing containers. The containers are wrapped under pods. So we can use volumes with our pod containers. If you don't use the volumes, the state of the file system, the container file system will be lost when the container is deleted or rescheduled or recreated. So we have first, let me deploy the application. We will use this application. We have this front end application, and this is our backend, basically database. It's front end and middle tier also, where you have a UI, as well as Java code, the Java code. So when we discussed about Docker, I explained there are two types of applications. So what is those applications? Stateless application and stateful application. Stateless application and stateful application, right? So we need to more worried about stateful application. This front end, again, this front end application is stateless. We are not storing anything. If even though the front end part, the front end container goes down, I just need to replicate that container. I no need to worry about the data. It doesn't have any state. I just need to replicate this application. But what about this? Where we are maintaining the state of our application, the data of that application, and that is running as a container. If that goes down, if it is recreated, we need to carry the state, right? Otherwise, you lost your data. So we will use Valium with stateful application. If you want to maintain some important folder, if you want to mount with some important directory of front-end application also, you can use. But even though you lost this container, you no need to worry. If you just replicate, that will be more than enough. Now, we have to deploy this application. Now we have to deploy this application. We have this image. We have this image. And we have a Mongo image. So what are the objects we need to create? Like how many Kubernetes resources or Kubernetes workloads or Kubernetes objects we need to create to deploy this application for now? You need a controller. You need a controllers to manage these pods, and also you need services, right? So something like this. Let's directly create in the server itself. Let me connect to the server. We will create the required manifest. So I'm trying to create the required manifest. Kind for front end application, I'm creating a deployment, metadata, name, spec, replicas. I'm just giving something like this, 2 replicas, and again selector, whatever you want to give this, right? Template, your part template. So under which you are going to define your pod information for this deployment. Our pod information, whatever we are going to use. Something like this. Metadata, name, labels of your pod, that is your selectors, then your pod spec. Pod has containers. your containers information, name, you can give whatever name, Spring App container, right? And for now, I am not giving the strategy. So what strategy it will take if you don't mention by default? If you want to apply your own strategy, you can apply. If I don't mention the strategy, it will take rolling update by default. If you want to mention, you can mention those strategy details with your own configuration. So image, what image? Docker hands-on slash spring boot hyphen mongo ports this port. Then what else we can mention here? What else we can mention here? Can I define the resources if required, whatever we discussed yesterday? Resources for this container. So if required, you can mention resources, something like this. Resources. Resources will have two things. Requests CPU, something like this, memory, something like this. Based on your requirement, you can define this. CPU, memory, something like this. And this is expecting some environment variables, right? As we already know, when we are deploying this application, this container in a Docker, we were passing environment variables. This application is expecting some environment variables like database username, right? Database password as an environment variable. This is expecting some information as an environment variable, right? So what are the things we should consider when you are Dockerizing or when you are deploying your applications as a containers or when you are deploying your applications in a Kubernetes, right? What are the things you should consider? The developer should not hard code any configurations which are going to be changed or which are going to be varied for each and every environment. Because we need to Dockerize an application in such a way that the same package we can deploy, we should be able to deploy in multiple environments. If the developer hard codes something, some configuration values, so we cannot externalize, right? So developer is externalized using something like this. He is expecting some environment variables. How can we pass here? In Docker, what keyword we use? While directly using command, we used -e. In compose file, we used environment, right? Now here we can pass those information as something like this, env. This will have a name for now, value. So the environment variable name, it is expecting something, db host name. This host name is basically the service name. Now in Kubernetes, how one pod or one application will be able to communicate with other application, what can I use here? So there is a code. There is a code inside this one. There is a code, Java code. It is expecting us to pass database IP address or host name. So the Java code will use this host name or IP address, which I am going to pass here, and this 27017 port. This is database port, Mongo database port. The Java code will use these properties to connect to this Mongo database. So here we are expected to pass host name or IP address. So what can I pass here? Do I need to wait till the database pod created, and do I need to pass the database that pod IP address, or can we use service name so that irrespective of where your pod is running, this application will be able to connect to the database? We can use the service name. For now, let me give service name as Mongo. Then it is expecting the database username value. Let me give for now something like this. The database password value, something like this. Now let me create, I want to access this application outside. What I need to do for this application? I need to create a service. Service. Again, this service of which type? I will create for now node port. Selector. What is my selector? Whatever label I have given for a pod. Then ports. Since it's a front-end application, the service port I will map it to default 80. And what is my target port? 8080. This is for this application. And I am running my database also as a pod. So I am creating for database also I am creating as a Kubernetes pod. So I am creating maybe the replica set or replication controller. But right, here I am going to create that for database. I am going to create one controller. So Paramveer is asking what keywords we use for -d property name. So that is your arguments for your command, right? So that is arguments for your command. Arguments for your command, so that you can, in your Docker file, you have a command that you can refer in your command. You can refer some environment variable. You can refer some environment variable. You can pass those whatever D, your runtime properties as an environment variable, so that while the container is started, since you are referring environment variable in your CMD, whatever you pass here, that will be considered. In your CMD, you use some environment variable while writing a Docker file. Instead of hard coding your properties for your Java, like you are executing Java -jar something. So after that Java -jar, whatever you pass that -d, you use one environment variable in your Docker file that pass that environment variable and whatever properties here you want to pass to your CMD, which you are going to be, that CMD will be used while starting the container. Now let's come to this one. We are trying to create another controller. For now, I am using this replica set. For now, I am using a replica set for a database. Okay. But as I already told, I will come to this. There is a one more Kubernetes object called stateful set. So what type of applications is recommended to use stateful set? The name itself is saying stateful set, right? We can use databases, we can use cache applications like Redis cache, some pods, right? So there is a separate object called stateful set. I will come to this stateful set. Basically, we will use databases, we will deploy databases, whatever database you are running as a pod, some applications as a stateful set. But before I go for a stateful set, you should know the volumes concept. So that's why first I am explaining with replica set. Ideally, the databases should be, we can use stateful set. What is stateful set? I'll come to that later. First, let me deploy using replica set. Metadata, name, MongoDB, something like this. Spec. I'm not going to mention number of replicas. So how many replicas it will create? Basically the database pod? Only one replica. I just need one replica for a database. I don't need multiple replicas. So I'm not going to mention. If you mention, right, if you don't mention, it will create one replica. Then selector, match labels. This is database. Then template, our pod template. Pod template again has metadata, name, Mongo database pod, labels, whatever I have given there. Spec, your pod specification. Mongo image. I'm using this image. Ports. So container port. What is the database? This Mongo database container port, right? 27017. This is the database container port. This Mongo database container port. Then while creating a database also, while running a database as a container, we have to secure this database with username and password. How we are passing this, the username and password for this database? Like we have to secure this database with username and password. So how we secured, how we used again in environment variable, right? But here, what is the environment variables we can use? Right? So what they are expecting? If you go and check the official hub.docker.com, if you see the Mongo image, this Mongo, you can read through this, right? It's a open source class, cross platform document oriented database. So if you see, what is the environment variables which they are expecting? MongoDB init username, MongoDB init password, right? We can use these environment variables to set the username and password. Now let me use those. Environment variable name is this. Now, if my database is initialized with this password, something like this, but here, if my application, for my application I am passing this username, is my application will be able to authenticate with the database if I pass wrong credentials here? Now this application will use this service name, this IP address to connect to the database, this username, this password. If my database is initialized with a different username and password, will it work? Suppose if my database initialized with some different username, so authentication will fail, right? So I am using this one, whatever I am passing there, devdb name, value at the rate 123. Now service for this. For this one, what type of service I want to create? This is a database. So since here I am passing service, this host name as Mongo, I will make sure I will create a service name with Mongo. If I create something else, again, it will not able to communicate. Front end application will not able to communicate if I don't have a service with this name. So here my front end application, I am passing database host name as Mongo. So with same name, I am trying to create a service. So here spec type. If I don't mention also what is the default type, service type, again, if I don't mention the type, what will be the default type? It will be cluster IP. Now ports or selector, whatever, order doesn't matter, you need to define those, that's it. So what is my selector? My pod label. Ports. So here you have a port and service port. So here service port and target port. So I am passing port as 27017. I am passing port as 27017. I am giving 27017. The indentation, it will be ideally two spaces if you have a something like this, right? If you have a 3 tabs also, it is not an issue, but here 3 tabs and here 2 tabs, something like this, it will not work. Okay. So ideally we will have a standards 2 spaces. So here I am using port as 27017 because this front end application will try to connect as Mongo 27017 service name, and this is service port. If you see here, I have not externalized that port 27017. So that I am passing as this 27017. The port also 27017, the service port and target port. What about target port? That is also, what is our container port, target port? 27017. It's a database, right? It's not a front end application. It's not a front end application. This service for a database. So we are using same like target port and service port as 27017. Now, am I using volumes anywhere here, especially for this database for now? If I don't use these volumes, if I don't use volumes, right? And if your database pod is recreated, does it maintains the data? It will be lost. The data will be lost. So now how to use volumes, right? There are different types of volumes. So we have a lot of types of volumes. Like you have a host path volume, MTDIR, you have NFS volumes, you can use Elastic, Block Store. You can use, if your cluster is running on Google, you can use Google Persistent Disk. There are a lot of volumes. There are different types of volumes, right? We can use config maps. Config map is something like which you want to pass your information. Config map is basically you want to use, you want to attach some configurations to the pod, right? You can use config map, you can use host path, you can use empty directory, right? Config map is basically to mount some file, or if you want to pass some key value pairs, we will use this config map. We will discuss this config map and secrets. There is a concept called secrets in a separate class. And we can use config map as a volume also to your Kubernetes pod. So based on your infrastructure, like based on your infrastructure, suppose if you are using managed Kubernetes cluster, again EKS, we can go for a Elastic Block Store as a value. If you are using managed Kubernetes cluster, GKE, Google Cloud, you can go for a Google Persistent Disk. Similarly, you have a Azure file, Azure Disk, Azure file, Azure Disk. So if you are using managed Kubernetes cluster, AKS, Azure Kubernetes Service, right? In that cluster, you can go for these type of storages, volumes. If you are using on-premise self-managed Kubernetes cluster, you can go for a host path, or you can go for a NFS, your own network file system. So you can use any storage drivers of your choice. It's just a driver, storage driver, which will be used to map the container. This is just a volume, irrespective of what storage you want to use, right? It's a piece of storage where your container will be mounted with this storage. There are some other storage providers like Gluster FS, right? Gluster FS for on-premise, right? There are some storage services like Gluster FS. So you can use any of your storage of your choice. Volume is nothing but a piece of storage that will be mounted with your container. That is where your data will be maintained. A piece of storage, right? That will be mounted with your container. The storage is basically the disk. It's nothing but a disk, some storage where it will maintain the data. So if I use host path, what is the meaning of host path? The name itself is saying host path. Its volume is nothing but a piece of storage, the disk where it will be mounted, where it will maintain the data. The name itself is saying host path. If I use host path volume, so where exactly under which file system it will use? Host. What is host here? Node file system. We can mount container directory with host file system. So some of the directory in your host we can mount with the container. In Docker, like we have a local volume. What is local volume, right? There exactly same as like host path. What is local volume in Docker? If you are using Docker, only Docker, we have a bind mode, right? Bind path. So some piece of directory you are mounting with your container. Similarly, like here in Kubernetes, we are using host path, right? So we have one more MTDIR. What is MTDIR? It's like a temporary storage. Temporary storage. It's temporary storage. What is the meaning of temporary storage? If your container is basically not rescheduled, your container is not rescheduled, your container is maybe just recreated, and your pod is not gone, your container is gone, you will have a data, but once your pod is deleted, you will not have a data. It's like a temporary storage. It will use some temporary storage. So we will not use this MTDIR also for our requirement, right? In the interview, they are asking like, what is MTDIR? It's a temporary storage, right? So some kind of a temp directory within the server, right? It will be lost once your pod is rescheduled. It is like a temporary storage. And if I use NFS, what is the meaning of NFS? What is NFS? Network file system. Suresh, RS is different, POD is different. I don't know why you people are so much confused here. RS is a replication set. It's a controller. What that is doing, it is going to manage the pod. If your pod is deleted, who will recreate? The controller. RS is basically a controller which will manage the pods. So if I use NFS, network file system, instead of in the host server where our pods are scheduled, we can use network file systems. You can have a separate server where you can manage file system. You can use NFS. We can use config map as a value, but we will not basically use to maintain some data. The config map will be used to attach some file as a value. You can attach some file as a value. Let's assume, let me give some example. Suppose, let me take this example. You have Prometheus. Prometheus is one application which will monitor your servers, Kubernetes cluster. So for Prometheus, you need to pass some settings. It will use some file, prometheus.yml file. It will use prometheus.yml file. It will have like all the information, how frequently that Prometheus has to monitor, right? What and all targets it has to monitor. You can define a alerts, like alerts in the sense, it has to trigger a alert whenever there is a very high CPU utilization, memory utilization. It will use this YML. If I run Prometheus as a container, where this YML will be there? If I run this Prometheus as a container, where this YML will be there? Inside the container. This YML will be there inside the container, right? If I run Prometheus as a container, where this YML will be there? It will be part of your container. So what I can do, I can create a config map with this like a file. I can use file. I can have all the data, like all this settings. Whatever I want to define in this YML, I can define. This config map I can mount with this container directory wherever I have a Prometheus YML. This config map where I have defined this file, all the settings. So I can use this config map as a value. So can I change these configurations based on my requirement using config maps? So instead of, we are mapping this file config map with this container file. So this file will be used as part of your container, right? So we can use config maps as a values also, but we will not use config map to mount some directories. Basically, we will use to pass some configurations. And what is this storages? These are again your cloud storages. Like in AWS, you have a EBS, Elastic Block Store. If you are using managed Kubernetes cluster, we can use EBS as a value. If I'm using Google Cloud, I can go for a Google persistent disk. If I'm using Azure, I can go for Azure file, Azure disk. These are the values which you can directly mount. And there is a one more important concept called persistent value claim and persistent values. So what is this persistent value claim and what is persistent value? Right? I can use these values directly with my pod, but Kubernetes is going to manage the, like, is Kubernetes going to maintain the state of the values outside of your pod if I directly use this? Is Kubernetes is going to maintain volume information if I directly use this, these storages? Is Kubernetes is directly going to, is if I directly use this one, it will not maintain the state, like the life cycle of the values. If you directly mount these storages with your pods, if you directly mount these storages with your pods, the volume information will not be maintained outside of your pod life cycle. Outside of your pod life cycle, you are directly mounting the storage with your pods. So the storage is directly associated with your pods, and Kubernetes will not maintain the volume information, like how many volumes you have, right? All those stuff. So we have a persistent volume. So what is the meaning of persistent volume? The Kubernetes will maintain the volume information also, like what type of volume you are using. So who claimed that value? The cluster, the Kubernetes cluster will maintain the volume information also. So what is we will do in the recommended way, right? Even though you use host path or NFS or EBS, right? We have to create a value, persistent value. Then our pod can claim that persistent value. So we'll come to that later. First, directly, I am going to mount this storages directly. Now let me use host path. So how I can define the volumes here? There are two sections here. You have volumes and you have a volume mounts. First, I need to define volume. So volume is sibling of your container. You have a volumes. What volumes you want to use? These volumes is siblings of your containers. What is the sibling? It's not a child for your containers. So we are attaching volumes to the pod, and we can use this. Once you attach these volumes to the pod, these volumes you can use within this containers. So I can define a volumes here. I'm just defining a volumes. What type of volume? For now, I am not using that persistent value. You can persistent volume claim. I'm directly mapping my storage here. I can give something like this, the name, and what type of value. For now, I am using host path value. So again, host path, it will have a path. What path here? The server path, where you want to maintain within that server. I'm giving something like this. MongoDB data, something like this. So what is this path? In the server, in the host, wherever this part is going to be scheduled, wherever this part is going to be scheduled, this is the directory which I can mount. So here I am just defining a values. But where should I use these values? How can I mention here in the containers what I have to use at the container level? You have value mounts. You have a value mounts. You have a value mounts. So here value mounts. Guys, environment variables are something different, right? Values are different. In Docker, did you use env to set the values? No. Okay. We used values. There we used only one, something like this, -v. You use the value name and your container path. So here I am defining something like this. This is my value. This value I want to mount with something here that I am defining here as a value mounts. So value mounts also will have a name. Here I am going to mention mount path, to which one it has to mount. So what is my mount path? Since it's a database, Mongo database container, where it will maintain, what is the important directory I want to mount? It is /data/db. So these values, as I told in the beginning itself, these values can be shared with all the containers which are part of this pod, right? If you have another container, for that container also, you can define a value mounts, and you can use whatever values you are going to define here. For other container, you can repeat this section. If you have another container, you can use same value also, whatever you have defined here, or you can define another value and you can use that value with that container. These values are common for your containers which are going to be scheduled in the pod. Now, how it is linking? How we are linking here? Here I am defining a values. Here I am defining a value mounts. What is common here? How we are linking? What is common? How we are linking here? Whatever value name you have given here, whatever value name you have given here, with same name, what you have defined? With same name, what you have defined here? The value mount. So this container directory will be using what type of storage? This container directory will be mounted with what type of storage now? It will use host path, and again within that host, which path it will mount? This one, right? So now let me schedule this. First, let me delete all the applications, whatever I have, guys, because we have very less configuration servers. Again, guys, I no need to repeat. Suppose if you want to scale your Spring application parts, the front end parts based on the load, what you need to create for the deployment, that front end application deployment again, if you want to scale based on the load, HPA, right? you are going to use all these concepts based on your requirement, right? So first let me delete everything. So I don't have any application as of now. Now I will deploy this application. kubectl apply -f, that Spring application. There might be some typo. So under this value mounts unknown field mount path, right? So mount path, what is the problem? P should be caps. I think I have given small. This mount path. Guys, you can validate this something like this. There is a dry run option. You can do a dry run option. Suppose if you want to do something like this, you can use dry run. So if there is no issue with your syntax, your YML, right? You can mention something like this. If there is no issue with your YML, whatever options you used and syntax, right? So here it will show it's a dry run. So I don't have any issues with my manifest file. It's only the manifest file validation, right? So let me apply without the dry run. Now it has created. So my database pod is getting scheduled. So where my database pod is getting scheduled? In which node? In this node 94. In this node 94. So in that node, the pod is scheduled. The container is mounted with whatever directory I have mentioned in that host path. Now my application is deployed. So let me access this application using this service. What is my service port? This one. So let me open the port in AWS Server Security Group. Let me open whatever server you are planning to access with that server in the server security group, whatever IP you are using. If you are using master IP or worker IP. So let me open the port. I will use that server IP address, whatever server you want to use. Then the port. What is the port which is opened for that one? 30899. And this is there is no context part. This is running on a root context, as we already know. This Spring Boot application is running on a root context on this root, right? So this is my front end application. This front end application is talking to the database pod with the help of what? Service, right? Service is routing the traffic to this database pod. So I am using Valium with my database. My database pod is running in this node 94, right? I'm using host path value. Let me go to that server 94, this server where our database pod is scheduled. Let me go to that machine. I'm using host path value, right? So this in my server, in this server, our database pod is running, right? So database, that container is mounted with this host path, this directory. What is this data? It is actually your database is using this directory to maintain the data. The database container is mounted with this storage host path. Now let me go back to my master and let me delete my database pod. I'm deleting the pod intentionally, database pod. Since I have a controller to manage this pod, is this pod will be rescheduled or recreated? I'm intentionally deleting. Now the database pod I have deleted. And let's see, is it recreated again? On the same node it has created. And since I use the value, host path value, right? Do I need to, will I lose this data? Since the pod is rescheduled or recreated, since I use that value, do you see the data is still there? You have a data. Now this is host path. Now instead of host path, I can go for a NFS also. What is NFS? For now, I will show this, right? You have a cluster. You have a Kubernetes cluster. You have a database. You have a Kubernetes cluster. Let's assume this is your Kubernetes cluster. I have a master. I have a master, and I have a workers. I have a front end pod. I have a back end pods. All those stuff. I have back end pod. So far what we used, like we used host path. What is the meaning of host path? Wherever your pod is there, within that host, the container directory is mounted with that storage. This is our Mongo database pod. So the Mongo database container is mounted with that directory. So now instead of this, I can go for NFS. What is NFS? Network file system. I can have a separate server where I have a initialized, have set up a NFS, network file system. Let's assume this is my NFS server. You have a NFS server. So now I can maintain the data outside of my Kubernetes cluster. My container will be, my process will be running in the cluster, but the data is, the process is maintaining the data outside of your cluster, outside of your cluster, right? So I can mount with this, you know, storage network file system instead of this, right? So I can maintain here. I can maintain in network file system, right? In this case, if my pod is rescheduled, If my pod is rescheduled also, it will use same value. Suppose if my machine is gone, my Kubernetes node itself is gone, do I need to worry about the data if I use the storage that is outside of your cluster? Suppose my Kubernetes node itself is gone, do I need to worry about the data if I use a storage which is outside of your node? Let's suppose if I use host path value, let's assume, just I'm giving a scenario like you can recover your server also. Let's assume I'm using a host path. Suppose my host itself is gone. There is a chance that if your host itself is gone, your server itself is gone, you are not able to recover your server. Yes, you can recover the servers. It is not like as simple as I am saying here, but I am just giving a scenario. Or your parts are rescheduled. If you are using host path value, suppose if you are using host path value, suppose part is initially scheduled here, some piece of data is here. Suppose this node has some issue, the scheduler has scheduled this part to the different node. Do you see a data consistency in case of host path value? If this part is scheduled to a different node, if you are using host path value, do you see a data consistency? Unless until you have some external process, unless until you have some external process which will sync your directories between these servers, unless until you have some external process which will sync the data between these servers, your Kubernetes servers, you don't see a data consistency if I use host path value. You can use some storage which is outside of your host, which is outside of your host. Like suppose if you are using on-premise, you can go for a NFS. If I go for a cloud, I can go for a cloud storages like EBS, EFS, right? You can use S3 also, you can mount with S3 also. That is just a storage, right? So you can use the storage. But if you want to mount S3, right, your pod should have, your container should have some software called S3FS, because it's not a file system as I told S3. S3 is an object storage, but you can use it as a file system, but your container or your machine should have a S3FS. There is a software S3FS. You can using that protocol you can mount. You have to customize your applications based on your requirement. So now let me demonstrate NFS. I don't have any NFS server. For now, I am creating one server where I will set up a NFS, right? So let me create one server where I am trying to set up a NFS. I am creating Ubuntu server where I will set up a NFS. Guess what is the port which we need to open in this server? This server, I am going to use it as a NFS server for now. What should be the port, guys? NFS port. What is the NFS port? I'm using one server as an NFS server, network file system server. What is the NFS port? In the interview also they will ask. When I discussed about the EFS, I explained what is the port, 2049. And again, I will not open for all this. I will open only for this network range. What is this network range? I think 172.31.0.0, I believe, /16. So I'm creating one server which I am trying to use for an NFS purpose. NFS server. So let me install required, let me set up NFS in this server. Let me connect to this server. Once this server is ready, I will set up a NFS. It is not related to Kubernetes, guys. Just you are trying to set up a NFS, right? Which you are going to use with your Kubernetes squad. So let me connect to this. Let me connect. So here I'm going to set up NFS. I'm going to install NFS software, and I will create, I will set up the NFS directory. Share, this is related to NFS, guys. It is nothing to do with Kubernetes, right? So you can install required softwares, NFS software, right? And I can create a directory, NFS shared directory. Right? I'm trying to set up a NFS. So I will share the installation instructions also with you. You can use those installation instructions if you want to practice this one also. So you can use these installation instructions to set up a NFS software, that server. It is nothing to do with Kubernetes. And is this machine is part of the cluster? Is this machine is part of a Kubernetes cluster? This is not a machine. It's outside of your Kubernetes cluster. It is just a machine. Is our application, is our parts is going to be run in this machine, or our parts will use this server as a storage where it will mount, the part directories is mounted, right? It will be used as a storage. So guys, I am sharing a running nodes, in detail running nodes. In the running nodes, you have all those YMLs files, and I'll suggest you to don't copy paste YMLs as is. Try to type so that it will be very clear what you are typing and what you are deploying. If you just copy paste, right, you will get a feel that you practice Kubernetes, but you don't know what you are deploying, what you are creating. By looking at that YML file, try to type. I'm sharing the running nodes every day. I can also copy paste. I have all these YMLs. I have all these YMLs in my GitHub. I can also copy paste, but if I copy paste, you will not be able to understand what I am deploying, what I am creating. So even though it's taking some time, I'm trying to type each and every YML so that you can understand what you are deploying, what you are creating. So first, what I have done, I have installed NFS server, guys, NFS software, server software. I am trying to create one directory. This directory is my NFS, directory, shared directory. So let me create one directory. This is NFS directory. In this NFS server, I am creating one directory, something like this. Since there is no owner, there is no group, This is accessed, this will be mounted by the clients, NFS clients. Now our Kubernetes machines are NFS clients. Our parts will be mounted with this directory. So I'm saying no owner, no group. I'm changing the permissions. Now this is related to NFS, right? There is a file called exports file. Here you are going to allow or mention some permissions to that NFS directory. So this is the directory, my NFS directory. Here I can define something like this. I can define the IP address to whom I should allow. The client IP address, NFS client. If I say something like this, what does it mean? I am allowing only this client to this path, right? I can give range also, something like this, whatever, like 172 dot that VPC, the network range, 0.0/16, the CIDR, the VPC CIDR. I can give something like this. If I give something like this, within this network, whatever server, whatever client, right, if we are allowing to mount with this directory, this is NFS setting. Or I can give a star. What does it mean? Star. Any client. I'm giving these permissions to that directory, read, write, all the permissions, something like this. Star represents all. Whatever you want to give, a star or specific IP, right? You are giving some permissions to the directory. This is NFS settings. So let me save this file. It is nothing to do with Kubernetes. This is NFS. Then restart your NFS server software, that service, NFS service. Now my NFS setting is done. This is my NFS directory, right? Which I am planning to use with my Kubernetes pods. So now this is NFS server. If I want to use this NFS server with my Kubernetes machines, where I can mount the pods with that NFS, right? So I need a client software. I need to install client software in all my Kubernetes machines. I need to have a client software, NFS client software in all my servers. If I don't have a client software, the parts will not be able to schedule, the parts will not be able to mount with your NFS directory. So we have to install client software in your which machines? How do we to do in real time? I mean, do we need to set up NFS or will it be there already, right? If it is there, you can use. If it is not there, you can set up. If you are using on-premise. Now, suppose you are going for a cloud. If you are going for a cloud, right, you can go for a EBS storage instead of NFS storage. So cloud managed storage, if you have a managed cluster. So based on the requirement, you can set up your NFS if you don't have already. If you have already, you can just use it. So now let me install the client softwares quickly in these nodes. So let me install in these nodes this. If you want to mount some part from master machine also, you need to have a client software. So let me install that client software. This is APT. This is client software in your, this apt package manager. Similarly, let me install quickly in these two worker machines as well. This client software, is it, is this configurations I have to do each and every time whenever I am going to use, that NFS value, or it's a one time activity? So let me install quickly. So I have a NFS client software installed, right? It's a one time activity. So I have a client software installed. Now I can use the NFS with my application, right? Now, instead of using host path, now I can use NFS, Mongo with NFS. So let me delete this one. I will delete whatever I have deployed which is using. I will delete that replica set only. I will delete only that replica set. So that replica set will delete the pod. So the pod is using what type of volume as of now? Since I am using replica set, if I make any changes, it will not reflect. So I'm deleting a replica set. The replica set will delete the pod. Pod is using what type of volume as of now? Host path, right? Host path value. If I update my manifest file, if I apply, it will not reflect because I am using replica set. So now I deleted. Now I will use this. Now instead of host path, what I can use, guys? Here, instead of host path, I can use NFS. So NFS will have two things: server. So here I need to provide IP address. IP address of what? IP address of what here? I need to provide the IP address of your IP address of our NFS server. So what is my NFS server IP, right? I will use, do I need to use public IP of that NFS server, or can I use private IP since the Kubernetes machines and this NFS server is in same network? I am using private IP. And what is the path? What is the NFS path which I am planning to use? mnt/share. Now the volume name and volume mount name is same. Volume name and volume mount name is same. So now this container directory is going to be mounted with this path. This is not in the same server. It is NFS, right? Before applying, let me show you here in my NFS server. Do I have anything as part of this directory as of now? Since I have not used this with my pod as of now. Do I have anything? Empty. Now let me deploy this application. This is now I am getting a pod. So NFS is not protected with username and password, right? NFS is just a network file system. You are using that file system. It is not, you don't have a password, username and password to connect to NFS. So my pod is scheduled. My pod is scheduled in this machine. But what type of volume now this pod is using? If my pod is rescheduled to another node, if this node is down, do I need to worry about the data? It's using NFS. And if I go and see here, what is this data, guys? It's your Mongo database. Your Mongo database, that data/db directory is mounted with this NFS server directory. So whatever data you will use, whatever data you maintain now, where exactly it is getting maintained in your NFS directory, right? So you can use NFS as a value, right? So as of now, I am using that, the storages directly with our pods. We are not using persistent values. Same NFS, same host path, we can use as a persistent value. What is persistent value? What is persistent volume claim? How to create a persistent value and how to create a persistent value claim, right? Manasa, don't get confused. Again, I said Docker also I said it is not a copy. Your container directory is mounted with your value. It's not a duplicate. What there is a difference between copy and mount, backup and mount. Don't ask the same question and again and again. That's why I said practice, attend all the classes, listen the recordings multiple times so that you can understand. Did I told the same thing in the Docker values? So it's a mount, it's not a backup. You will not have a data in the two different paths, right? So your container directory is mounted with your storage. So it's a mount, it's not a backup. You will not have a data at a container, like it is not like a two copies. So whatever we discussed, try to practice guys today. Try to use host path, try to use NFS. Tomorrow we will continue with persistent values and persistent volume claims. Okay? So that is more important. Congratulations, Suresh, for your offer. Okay, and all the best. I think Suresh got offer from HCL. So try to share your interview experience, whatever. So many questions on Docker file, but will you able to answer whatever questions they have asked on the Docker file?
Yes, sir. I have taken, completely interview at my friend.
Uh,
They were
okay, good,
surprised, and
good. Congrats.
thanks a lot for all your efforts, and
Okay,
great
congrats.
to
And
put,
try to
every
share your
point.
interview experience with others also. What
Sure,
questions they
sure.
have asked
And I'll
and
share my offer
how.
letter yet to finalize.
Okay, sure, sure.
Negotiation
Meantime,
is
you
going, but I'll
share
share.
the interview process. Okay,
Sure,
whatever
sir.
like how it went, so that it will benefit others also.
Sure, sir. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. I am stopping the session for today, guys. We'll continue tomorrow. Thank you.